So Eunice, thanks very much. Yours, Shannon. Thanks very much, Shannon. Let Shannon introduce you nicely over here.
Okay, so that hasn't happened yet. Just because I feel like I walked into the room late. But so hopefully everyone will have realized by now that WIOGEN is all about networking. And so we really welcome the opportunity to showcase some of the other networks in the Western Indian Ocean, and thank the Women in Science Network for sponsoring this break. So thank you very much, WIOGEN, for telling us more about women in science in the Western Indian Ocean. We're really excited to have you here and link you up with some new people, hopefully.
Yes, please. So what I've done is I put up a question as well as the Mentimeter link. And then I'll send it to Shannon at the end, and then she can present it at the end of the day. Please.
Thank you. That's great. Hopefully you will all follow the link and it's working. So that's great.
I hope it works too.
So the question is, what other activities can WIMS do to help emerging women in ocean scientists? Is that the question?
Yes.
For the World Club. Perfect.
Emerging women scientists. Yeah, that one. Yes. I just want to make it. So if I'm using, so you guys can only see the presentation, right? Okay, so welcome to the tea session on WIMS. So I'll move on to the next slide. My name is WIOGEN, as I've been introduced already, and I'm the country coordinator for South Africa, and I took it upon myself to actually come and talk about WIMS because everybody's so busy. But I know there's a few WIMS here today anyways, so thank you. So firstly, WIMS was started in March 2017 when the WIOMSA Board of Trustees approved a WIOMSA gender policy. And then at the 10th Scientific Symposium in Dar es Salaam, that's where we had our first informal meeting during just lunchtime. See, lunch and tea, WIMS has got it. Then it was then later announced by WIOMSA that they'd be launching the Women in Marine Science during this symposium. And this is when all the women got to meet, and then we were introduced to WIMS. WIMS was actually launched to address the gender equality issues facing women marine scientists in the Western Indian Ocean. And apart from that, and what we've seen from putting out calls and inviting people, it's not only in the Western Indian Ocean, but then we've also had membership requests from outside the WIO region, which is really, really good for us as well. So to make the network operational, WIOMSA commissioned a consultant to conduct an assessment to see what were the needs of women marine scientists. So from that, there was a terms of reference for the network. This was done online, and a total of 325 women responded to the survey. To follow up on the questionnaire, they invited selected females who are quite profound within the WIO region and quite popular in the sciences as well. They're in the picture. Sorry, some of them are cut off. If it's you, I'm sorry. And then during this meeting, the first steering committee of WIMS was elected. I wasn't there at the time, but I took over. Nasreen is there, and then it was me. Now I'm the next one. We have three critical focuses at WIMS. The first one is capacity building. So this enables us to gain stronger technicals for us as women to help each other in gaining strong technical skills through WIOMSA grants, as well as programs with partners. And there've been quite a bit of programs, and some of them have actually been online for the past 2 years, which has also been helpful. And then another one is actually happening in Mombasa in November. So they've actually started having some face-to-face capacity buildings now, I think since June, which is much better. We've also embarked on a mentorship program, which is aimed at building intentional mentoring relationships that impart greater skills within the female realm and for women scientists, especially the younger women scientists who have also come forward saying that there aren't enough opportunities or there aren't enough mentors within the sciences. And because in some countries, like in Somalia, the marine science is actually mostly male dominated, which makes it sometimes a bit difficult for females to go into marine sciences. And lastly is leadership. So the whole point is that we aim at imparting leadership skills to build informed, influential decision makers within national and global influence, which is essential also for early career ocean professionals. And this is also linked to mentorship. And WIOGEN in this conference is very helpful in terms of that and exposing us to some of the leaders that are female leaders in ocean science, marine science. So this is our leadership team. This is from all the countries in the WIO region. Some of them are familiar faces. And a few months ago, we had our first meeting for Somalia, which was Firdousa. She's bottom right, bottom left. I think she's at the bottom right corner with the pink scarf. So now we also have WIMS in Somalia, even though she's based in Turkey. WIMS's mission is to provide women in marine science with a platform to share experiences, challenges, and solutions, celebrate their achievements, and promote their visibility within and outside the WIO region. This is just a list of some of the research areas of the women who are involved in WIMS are in. I had to highlight ocean governance because it has come up quite a lot, I think, in the past 3 years. And a lot of our research is actually now geared towards informing and increasing knowledge in ocean governance and helping local governments as well as national governments in decision-making, especially in areas where there's problems of low catch, not good use of ocean resources. So our objectives, there's 5 objectives. So the first one is to encourage young women to pursue careers in the different fields in marine science, which include management and providing mentoring and professional development action. I think there's also been quite a bit of a fear of some women were afraid to go into management positions. And through WIMS, we're actually being encouraged to take that leap of faith and be brave enough to start applying for management positions. And that also starts from just being a co-I or a PI and leading a project. The second one is networking, which is we promote networking among the women in marine science within the region, increasing participation of women in the science in the WIO region, in research, decision-making bodies, as project researchers, leaders, and conveners, like I mentioned before, and also to raise awareness for and promote changes related to female representation in the marine science. And in one of the meetings I had, Nina was there, and Nina was saying that as women, we also need to, wherever we go, we need to talk about WIMS, we need to talk about marine science, we need to expose more people, because some people are coming from inland cities, inland provinces, and have never heard of marine science. So we also need to be there and inform people and young women about marine science. Lastly, it is to promote inclusion, to promote the understanding and inclusion of the gender dimension in science and research policy, as well as in marine science, marine scientific fields. In the next slides are just going to be examples of how WIMS early career ocean professionals are contributing to ocean governance. And pictured here is an article from the WIOMSA magazine that was talking about empowering women within the ocean decade, which was also linked to ocean governance. So the first one, we have Nelly. Nelly is in the current issue of the magazine as well. So Nelly works for the World Wildlife Fund and is the Director of Education for Nature Program and Conservation. And I figured this out, this new thing, so cool, this animation. Nelly is based in Florida. So from Kenya, she's now based in Florida. And for her, she feels that she would like women and girls to know that their voices, ideas, and contributions matter and are needed in the science space. And she was a champion. She is a champion and a co-lead and a lead researcher of billfish research across the WIO region. Which brings me to the next slide, where pictured there is also Nina. Nina is based in Mombasa, where she was also involved in the billfish. She's a principal investigator in the billfish project. So the billfish project is also very linked to ocean governance, in that it was a comprehensive study over 10 countries in the WIO region. It evaluated the historic and current status of billfish, and the project aims to explore the socio-economic contribution and governance of billfish and assess the genetic structure of species. And lastly, they wanted to determine the spatial and temporal distribution of billfish in the Western Indian Ocean. And this was the first study of its kind. And it was led by a woman. Then we have Vatosa Vatosa's from Madagascar, and she was nominated in the oceans category, which focused on enhancing marine biodiversity conservation and curbing marine pollution. This was for the top 100 young African conservation leaders for 2021, and she's a WIMS member. Then there's also Nasreen Khan. She's from Durban, South Africa, and then she worked in the Antarctic in a project there, and then now she's based in the Seychelles as a conservation officer. So one of her main activities is that she's dedicated towards seeking knowledge and producing science data to understand and mitigate environmental pressures in order to contribute towards the conservation of natural ecosystems and services that they provide. And she was in South Africa and she just went back to Seychelles on Monday. Lastly, we have Fodosa. I mentioned her earlier on. So she's from Somalia, and she's doing her MSc in Turkey. And then she's always mentioned that in Somalia, it's a very male-dominated research area. But then that's why she says that it's not easy. But then being part of the project Kaloon, she was a team leader and coordinating data collection and recording data monthly. And through this, she was mentored and actually put into this position by one of her supervisors as well. So this also showcases how mentoring is very important for women scientists, young women scientists. And then there's Elysia. She's from Italy, but now based in South Africa. She's a WIO WIMS member, IOC Africa coordinator as well. And she feels that she's developer of marine spatial planning for sustainable management of coastal and marine resources. And lastly, we have Juliet, who's based in Mombasa. She is part of WIOGEN Working Group 3, and she's a co-lead, and she's here today too. She's based, she feels that she can contribute in the management committee on driving activities for WIOGEN, network, especially on coordinating activities within her working group. And she's very actively involved in ocean science. So I hope I've given quite a good overview of some of the activities and what some of our members are busy with and how inspirational some of the work that we are doing is in WIMS and how we can actually help each other, influence each other, and also collaborate together as women in marine science. So to be a member of WIMS, you need to be a woman, firstly. And then firstly, you have to be a member of WIOMSA in order to be a member of WIMS. Students, if you're a full-time student, you can provide us with your proof of registration and membership will be free. So I have the contact details there, but you can just Google, even under WIOMSA, there's a tab for WIMS. Social media, please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, as well as Facebook. And we have quite a good followership. Thank you very much for everybody's time and listening to me. Are there any questions?
Okay, we're going to have to get people to get in touch with you directly for questions, because we need to go into plenary. But thank you so much. It's such an awesome thing to see the wonderful women in marine science and have them showcased. And I know you guys are working so hard, and it's so wonderful to have you here. So thank you so much for joining us today. I put the link for WIMS in the chat, so if anyone wants to check it out, they can, and otherwise get hold of King. And now, if you can all jump over to our Women in Science keynote speaker, Anna Katarina, in the plenary room. Thank you so much, King.
Pleasure.
Thanks, King. Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, everyone, have a look at the chat. Hannah's just shared the link for the keynote. Please jump over to there. We'll see you all in the keynote session now. Close this session, and then we will see you all in the keynote session. Thanks, everyone. The session's going to close shortly. Please jump over to the keynote session in the link provided in the chat. Everyone, please look at the chat. You need to jump into the keynote session. Please look at the chat for the link. The session will close. The session will close now. We will all meet in the keynote session. The session will close. The session will close.